Hi friends, welcome back to Playing Tribute to Ace Attorney Justice for All, part of the Ace Attorney original trilogy. We are on the second game, third case, fourth day? This is part 4, so it's not really fourth day. I think it's actually the second day, second trial day, which I guess is the third day. Anyway, previously, we found out a little bit of a secret of things that happened 6 months ago, a tragedy that happened in regards to the lion and the one of the acrobats, who is the brother of a guy that we met last time as well, named Acro. His brother Bat was bitten by Leon the lion. He was trying to impress Regina, and it did not end well. So we learned a few other things. Phoenix is starting to piece things together, and now all we have is the trial to get to the bottom of what happened to the ringmaster, Russell Berry, and to see if we can get Max off. So let's go ahead. Good morning, Max. Oh, yeah. Good morning, sweeties. You don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up to it. Tee? Don't get nervous, Maxie. Here, have a glass of milk. Regina! How fabulous, my sweetie pie princess! You came to watch my performance today? Of course I did! Mo told me that I should come and watch this. Mo said that. So, what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess, you'll fly at the end? It's not that kind of show. Isn't that right, my sweeties? Huh? I think my sweetie pie princess doesn't... Yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on, or even where she is. Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise the curtain. I'll see you later. Today I'm just a member of the audience. Fabulous. Enjoy yourself out there. Good luck, Max. You're the best. Regina's different, don't you think, Nick? Top of the morning to ya! Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in legal limbo. How low can you go? Mo? Top of the morning to you, Governor! Top of the morning. That's the ticket! Attacking the day starts with energy in the morning. The early bird gets the worm, but then again, worms lack higher brain function. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk. So many milks. All the milks. By the way, just because I was reminded, he said early bird gets the worm. I'm surprised he didn't say the second part of that, which I heard from a friend at college, was the late mouse gets the cheese, or something like that, or the second mouse gets the cheese. But also, I think it's a poem by Shel Silverstein that says the early bird gets the worm, but so it's saying if you're a bird, get up early. If you're a worm, sleep late. In so many words, in so many poetic rhyming words. Milk. More milk. Oh my, thank you. So how are you today, right? Well, I've got the feeling that today I'm going to face off against the real criminal. You mean Acro? Whoa, he just knew how to... Okay. That he's... Okay. Huh? You think he did it? Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line, literally. He's got guts to spare. If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm used to it already. It just means that I won't be able to press him like I can other witnesses. What are you going to do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. Today we rely on evidence. It's the only way we get past Acro and to the truth. You're right, but it's gonna be tough. Anyways, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important. and she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father. You want us to make sure Regina watches? Yes, and that's why I brought her here to court today. What's that supposed to mean? She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. Maybe an old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars. Yeah, that was the thing from last time, too. That she said, that her father told her. The court is now in session for the trial of Maximilian Galactica. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well, Miss Von Karma, you may proceed with your case. The prosecution would like to revise its previous theory of events. What's the meaning of this? We have discovered a new witness, or shall I say, a new eyewitness. One that saw Maximilian Galactica fly off from the scene of the crime. So she's really pressing into this, isn't she? Cool. Order, order. I had a feeling something like this would come up. Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night. An explanation the prosecution will present if the need so arises. In fact, my detective stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scene on my orders. Poor Gumshoe. Very well, please call your witness to the stand. Time to get to work. Or shall I say, time to walk the courtroom tightrope. So we won't be able to press as much, I guess. Name and occupation? Ken Dingling, but everyone calls me Acro. I'm employed as an acrobat at the Berry Big Circus. Where were you in the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. My room is on the 3rd floor. The crime scene is below my window. The night of the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you tell us what you witnessed? Okay. It was just after 10 p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Then a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. This witness's testimony matches up exactly with that of the clown. If that's the case, there's very little the prosecution need add. All that's left is to explain how the defendant disappeared into the sky that night. Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. A man must know the proper timing for things, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Just like your old friend, Mr. Miles Edgeworth did. I'm just going to keep bringing him up. Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony? In the words of Ms. Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There is no way that actually happened. Very well, you may proceed with your cross-examination. Okay, no psychological craziness and bluffing and stuff, but I think I can still press. Your room is on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. And you said that you were resting in bed. That is correct. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside? I was indeed. Pressing acro does not get results. I don't think there's anything wrong there. Sorry, I didn't read any of that. I was confused. So, I'm not going to get any information from pressing him. Desk slam. Are you sure it was a human being? It could have been a mannequin, or perhaps a large action figure. Well, setting aside the possibility of a mannequin, an action figure is plausible. You've no need to mince words with Mr. Phoenix Wright. Testify to the truth and only the truth, just as if we were there with you that night. I believe it was a human. I just strengthened his testimony. In fact, our statement jives with the facts. There's nothing wrong. What's the matter, Mr. Wright? Nothing, Your Honor. Though I can find a clear contradiction, I should tread lightly. ... Akram must be lying about things, huh? Of course he is. Now the challenge will be to expose his lies in court. Well, put the pedal to the metal, Nick. I do need to look through the court record. Let's look through the court record. Those two aren't important. The hat was found at the scene. Salary negotiations, maxes 3 symbols. Juice bottle, I think we've already done everything we needed to do from there. I don't think we need this map either. Money the Monkey. Leon. Russell's autopsy. Wooden box. Pepper in the box. Grand Prix photo. Haven't forgotten what happened 6 months ago. Have conclusive evidence. We've confirmed that that was from Acro. The bust. That's it. Okay. Let's put the pedal to the metal. Just after 10. Thump, a noise outside the window. Someone flying by the window. Saw him from behind. Okay, so why did he look like Max Galactica? The light in your room was turned off then, right? That's true. I was going to bed after all. So with the lights off, you were still able to clearly see a human fly by your window? The safety lights lit things up enough for me to see, but honestly, there was only enough light for me to see the silhouette outside my window. It was the person's back, so I couldn't see the white roses in the front. Did you see any of the other symbols? I clearly saw the silk hat as well as the cloak wrapped around his body. I'm convinced that the person I saw was Max Galactica. The more I press him, the less results I seem to get. But maybe there was something fishy with this latest bit of testimony. Did we not figure out last time that because the hat was left at the scene, there's a problem? I might go back to this one. I want to make sure that it doesn't want me to just press a bunch. Which I don't think it wants me to press a bunch. It's very clearly steering me away from pressing him, but I'm pressing him anyway. When did you start thinking that what you saw wasn't a dream? That's not important. I believe that the prosecution has done a bit of maintenance on the witness's memory. Just to make sure, let's ask the witness. Ow! Objection. Sustained. Don't sustain that! Akram must be lying about... Okay. So... resting in my bed after 10. Said that you're resting in bed. One would thus assume that you turned the lights off in your room. That's correct. But there are safety lights around the outside of the lodging house. It's so bright, sometimes it can make it hard to sleep. If that's the case, wouldn't it be a good idea to close some curtains? I never really thought of that. I guess that means I'm off to buy some curtains. Ha, sometimes I do make myself useful in these chambers. Oh! The witness will proceed with his testimony. Okay. We're gonna do this. There's a huge contradiction with the testimony that was just given, apparently. I don't know. If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence. She's right. Let's see some evidence. Do you have any evidence to support your claim of contradiction? Again, I feel like we're just rehashing things from yesterday, but... You claim to have seen the exact same thing Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat. What about the silk hat? I saw it on Max's head as he flew by my window. Well, you should have tried looking down out of your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Just looking outside of the window was a tough enough challenge for me. That's a shame, because you would have noticed the silk hat found on the scene. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat. Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying that Max has 2 silk hats? No, this is a handmade, one-of-a-kind model made only for Maximilian Galactica. Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand. Okay, so it was just rehashing stuff from the previous day. Alright. I thought we were gonna tread some new ground, but... Order. Like always, someone has to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick? Well, I opened my big mouth, and now I have to back it up. How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury in this court today? He was dreaming the whole time! Your Honor. On this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself. On this occasion? Accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of? Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Berry. I think we're setting foot on the tightrope officially. Mr. Wright, are you serious? Deadly serious, Your Honor. I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to remember how to try and grab at an audience's hearts and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book. Really? If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. Like a Disney princess playing with birds. He's calm enough for it to almost be scary. I mean, it's true. He's very confident. He's staying rather calm and collected. Mr. Dingling, do you have any response to the defense's accusation? I don't really need to say a thing, do I? What do you mean? Everyone take a good look at me. I can't even stand up by myself, let alone leave the lodging house. That's true. I understand that Mr. Wright is just trying to help his client. But to do this by accusing me of murder of all things. Oh man, he's making me look bad. See, even a sliver, I think that's supposed to say, of common sense makes it clear the accusation is ludicrous. Wow, there's a lot of typos in this game. In this case alone, actually, I think it was. She's right! Way to pick on the disabled, you heartless, cruel man! Phoenix is a poopy head! Why are there children in the audience? See that, Mr. Phoenix Wright? If you're trying to drum up support from the peanut gallery, that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game. I've got a doctor's note to confirm that Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning on making a claim to counter this as well. I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice. What do you say about this, Mr. Wright? Did Acro have an accomplice? Of course he didn't. Now then, this must be when we get to hear the name of the mystery accomplice. Not this time, Von Karma. What? You're not going to sucker me into this one. What are you blabbering about, Mr. Wright? There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself. Order. What are you getting at? Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. Now I'm going to have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Russell Berry. Can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright, then let's do it. Mr. Phoenix Wright, If this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right? Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear something up for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingling? I'll give it a pause for you guys. So, the funny thing is that Mr. Dingling, Acro, did not lie about where he was. He was in his room. He was obviously here the whole entire time. That's Acro's room. Pretty simple, eh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself. There's only one answer to that. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. What? Are you nuts? What say you, Mr. Dingling? So chill. Playing with his birds. It's an interesting theory. That's it? Considering that what you propose is impossible, yes, that's it. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. As the witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he is in a wheelchair, there is no way he could go to the scene or be the killer. You've got a point. It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime. That's true. Mo said that he saw Max, didn't he? But Maya, it's still impossible for humans to fly. Do you mind if I ask a question, Mr. Wright? Fire away. What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how did you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room, I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. How did he do it? That's the next course of this legal buffet. Be careful, Nick. If you mess up here... She's right. I can't mess up here. I've got to give this one some serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the ringmaster. And he killed the ringmaster while he was in his room, no doubt about it. Time to enlighten us as to how Mr. Dingling committed the crime, Mr. Wright. Wait, present evidence. What exactly does it want me to present? Because there's a lot that went on here. I don't think it's supposed to come up yet. Shoot. Okay, if I'm wrong, I'm gonna skip because it will be a spoiler for you guys. If I'm not supposed to say this yet, I'm going to skip this part. If I am, then we're carrying on as usual. I'm going to present some evidence. So what did Mr. Dingling use to commit the crime of the murder against Russell Bear? Okay, what did he use? I think I'm good. Yes, okay. I was like, I didn't know it came this early, but here it is. What's that, a picture? It is indeed. The problem is with the item that's shown in the picture. The bust? It's quite a large bust, and because it is life-sized, it is also very, very heavy. Heavy. Heavy enough to guarantee certain death. Especially if it was dropped from a third-story window. Ha! Acro knows I'm onto him! See, this is how Acro was able to kill the ringmaster. With the force of gravity and Maximilian Galactica's ample bust. Order! So you're saying the bust fell onto the ringmaster? A rather simple crime. Even if you were stuck in a wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to commit. How could you possibly wheel a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible! Well, Acro is an acrobat. He should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like the bust. Seriously, look at the musculature. Mr. Dingling, how do you respond to these charges? Well, Acro's at a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting close to the truth. Well, Acro. You can't run away from things this— Ow! I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. What? Your Honor, the physical health of the witness is material to this case. I demand that we get proper testimony from the witness himself. Testimony, you say? Oh, Karma. She's just using this testimony as a rouse to stall for time. A ruse. A ruse? Is that how you spell ruse? There's absolutely no need for such testimony. The defense has its version of murder. The prosecution has a right to respond. The defense's objection is overruled. Why can't he see things my way once in a while? Mr. Dingling, I'm sorry, but we need you to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we can request an expert testimony. The witness will have no problems. However, let's all be respectful toward him. Thank you. This woman will sink any low to win a case. Well, she hasn't, attacked you with a taser yet, so... I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Thus, it would be unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think? I have no doubts in regards to this witness's testimony. It was impossible for him to lift the bus and carry it over to the window. Not to mention that he could not have known the location of the ringmaster's head. A single false step would have led to even more severe injuries. That's what I was thinking. What's your opinion on the matter, Mr. Wright? I'd still like to proceed with my cross-examination. He's simply stalling. It's shameful, really. I can't let her get to me. I've got to focus. Across the courtroom tightrope. Strong upper body strength, blah blah blah. Lifting the bust and looking out the window. And why is that? Because if I were to do that, I'd end up falling out the window myself. So I haven't got much feeling back in my legs yet. So you couldn't have thrown the bust out the window. There's no way I could have exerted the kind of force on my lower body. Makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Why do you say it would be impossible? Allow me to explain. You accept that if I was carrying the bust, I couldn't see below the window? Thus, there's no way that I would know the location of the ringmaster's head. Well, I suppose you've got a point. Hey, Nick. Huh? What if you turn things around? Maybe you think of it sort of like this. Oh, mine's gonna be helpful. If he knew the location of the ringmaster's head, then he could drop the bust. Right? That does make sense. If only I could prove it somehow. Okay, so that is the statement that Acro knew the location of the ringmaster's head without looking down. That's the statement that I'm presenting evidence on. I think I've already explained things sufficiently. Him and his birds. Unrealistic, don't you think? Okay, so we need to prove that he knew the location of the ringmaster's head. I believe we have the evidence to prove such a fact. Wouldn't you say?
Objection!
Acro, you didn't really need to lean out the window, did you? What are you driving at, Mr. Wright? You already knew ahead of time where the ringmaster's head was going to be. Quite precisely, I may add.
Objection!
Your silly hinting at things is pointless, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Enough stalling! How about you show us some evidence? I love her tantrum. But I did such a good job hinting. Yes. Hurry up and explain things, Mr. Wright. Maybe you should take a look at this. The key point here is the wooden box. The same wooden box that the victim was found hunched... Oh, the same wooden box that the victim was found hunched over? The same. The question is, who placed the wooden box here? Who? When Ben and company saw the ringmaster, they didn't see him holding the box. Which means that this wooden box was already placed at the scene crime. The scene crime! Man, game. I'm kind of upset a little bit. I have to admit that your theory makes a lot of sense. The moment that the bust came falling down was exactly the same moment the ringmaster lifted up this wooden box. Which means that the answer to all of these questions is now crystal clear. You mean, if the bust were to fall upon the point marked out by the wooden box, there would be no way that it could miss the head of the victim. Really? Order! This is unbelievable. Finally, some of these loose ends are starting to tie themselves up. Now I just gotta keep going, and there's only one way to go from here. Forward. Keep walking the tightrope. So the next question I have for you is, who placed the wooden box at the scene? It was Mr. Dingling, of course. He connected it to a rope, and then all he had to do was lower it down. Ow! Allow me to whip some sense into you. Mr. Phoenix Wright. Ow! The ringmaster's head could have been anywhere when he lifted that box. That's why the box was so specially made. Specially made? Indeed. It had the most peculiar feature. It was large. It was also really heavy. I think that the weight of it was weirder, I guess? Because he's talking about how he would lift the box. So, yeah, the way that he had to lean to lift it, I guess. I mean, also the size, though, because he had to grab it from different... I'll say the weight, it's fine. The box has a remarkable weight. Weight? According to the court record, it weighs 20 pounds. Just to lift up this wooden box would have required... Oh, I see. One would have to squat down and then lift it up with their body, wouldn't you say? That's exactly what I was trying to point out. The box is also very large. Oh, so I could have said that too, maybe? The box also has carrying handles on either side, doesn't it? That's correct. To lift up the box, you'd have to squat down. Which means that no matter who you are, your head would be in approximately the same place. Fool! Disney princess over here. I've heard what you had to say. I must admit, I'm shocked at your imaginative skills. Did you drop it? Did you drop the bust onto the ringmaster? What are you talking about? Even if I had wanted to do such a thing, I couldn't. What? Mr. Wright, do you recall the original location of this bust? Yeah. Of course I remember. It was on top of the table of the cafeteria. And what happened to it? I'd like you to remember one important fact, Mr. Wright. I could not possibly leave the lodging house by myself. That means... You understand what I mean, don't you? I may very well have been able to drop the bust from my room. However, how would I have gotten the bust from the cafeteria to my room? I love how he's conceding to the things that I'm saying. So he's like admitted, yes, this is possible, but this isn't possible, or how did I do this? So he's letting me go ahead along. You see, Mr. Phoenix Wright, explain that. Don't forget, you said there was no accomplice. Tell us exactly how the witness would have carried the bust from the cafeteria. Yep, we definitely have a problem here. This is no place to get perplexed. I've got to get my wits about me and prove how things happened once and for all. Alright, Mr. Wright, let's hear your explanation. How did the witness get the bust from the cafeteria back to his room?
Take that!
A monkey? Everyone knows money. He loves shiny objects of any size. For instance, he stole the ventriloquist's ring. So, are you saying the witness had a monkey steal the bust? course he didn't order the monkey to steal it. The monkey stole it on his own and then brought it back home. Home? Money lives in Acro's room. Acro's room? But the bust was bronze, wasn't it? Bronze isn't all that shiny. Maybe you should put the whip down sometimes and read the court record. My, those are some very nice cards he's holding. Yes, and they are made of platinum, which is very shiny. Ah! Also, he stole my badge. What is my badge made out of? Because I didn't think it was really that shiny. I guess he keeps it up very well. Acro? Money is a strong monkey, right? It'd be easy for him to bring the bus back to your room. He wasn't able to handle that himself. I'd be on the market for a new roommate. He's so chill. It's so weird. Order. I said order. Ms. Von Karma, where is the bust in question at this moment? I don't know. We're searching for it as we speak. That's a strange turn of events. If that monkey did not steal the bust, then what happens to this case? Well, in that event, something else must have been used as the murder weapon. Well, Or maybe this bust was the murder weapon, but it was used by accident. That's possible. Maybe Acro saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we've more than proven one critical fact. Namely that it was entirely possible that Acro was the murderer. Have we reached the end of the tightrope? Moron! Oh, not a fool? Is that worse? I think that's worse. Mr. Wright's argument was so circular, I'm still a bit dizzy. However, his argument does hold water. There's no denying that. Ow! Don't seem so flamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney. Fraud? You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix Wright. And what is that? You should know. You forgot that your fraud of a magical client was spotted at the scene of the crime. There's no reason to doubt the clown's testimony. That's true. How do you respond to that, Mr. Wright? Nick, don't let her beat you now. I won't. This is my chance to turn this trial around. That's why all these cases are called turnabouts. When the murder occurred, there were two people at the scene of the crime. One was the victim, Russell Berry, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this and only this, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The clown saw the murderer. Who was it then? Is it all starting to come together for you guys? Take that! He saw Max's... Ow! I asked who was the other person Mo saw on the scene. That evidence has nothing to do with the question. Au contraire, mon frère. It does indeed have something to do with the question. Mo said that he saw Max's silhouette. But he did not actually see the man himself. It wasn't a human being he saw. How is that possible? It's simple, really. What Mo actually saw that night was Max's bust. What are you talking about? Have you tried using your brain at all in this case? The silhouette he saw just happened to be wearing a cloak. There's no reason why you couldn't attach a cloak to a bust. Or a cloak like that could easily get snagged on the bust if it came into contact. Idiot! Who in their right mind would put a cloak on a bust? It doesn't matter who put it on the bust. Just wait a minute now, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? That question is of utmost importance in this case, don't you agree? He caught me. So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? I guess we're going profiles then. Fool! Him? You are saying it was the victim himself, Russell Berry? That's what I'm saying. The victim himself placed the cloak on the bust? Placed the cloak isn't really the right way of putting it. Then what would be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright? Explain yourself! Nick, do you really have a handle on all this? I'm fine, Maya. I'm finally putting all the pieces together. There's really only one picture I can paint anyways. Alright, so you want to know what really happened that night. Let's step back in time. Acro used a rope to lower the wooden box onto the scene. Then he attached that rope to the bust, and dangled the bust out of his bedroom window, directly above the wooden box. At the same time, the ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the ringmaster was wearing Max's costume. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. But just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance of the lodging house by none other than the ventriloquist and his puppet, Benadrylo. When the ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that's when Acro took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happens. At the very instant that the bust hit the victim, you wait just a second there, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Man, the sound work in this case. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this just isn't true. It can't be. It's still a little early to be getting so upset, Miss Von Karma. The circus isn't over yet. With the shock of impact, it threw up the cloak and got snagged on the bust. That's when the sound was heard by the witness, and he took a look out of his window. That witness was, of course, Lawrence Moe Curls, the clown. When Moe looked out his window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bust. Now, having completed the crime, Acro naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea that Moe saw the bust being raised with the cloak dangling on it. Primarily because in his wheelchair, he couldn't see out of his window. So he just kept pulling the bust up. And that is how the magical murderer disappeared into the sky came to be. Now you know how the murder actually took place. And now you know who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the scene. Acro, it could only have been you. Oh my gosh, this guy. Acro's been playing mind games with all of us. He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now. So, what now? You've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove that your fairy tale is true? Evidence? In this court, only two things matter. The power of evidence and the power of my whip. It's fair. Don't forget the power of my gavel as well. Mr. Wright, the prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence? Nick, they say they want evidence. I just explained how there can only be one possible murder method. But there is still something unusual about Moe's eyewitness account. Unusual? A contradiction, actually. Okay then, use that and get out of this jam. That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence to the court that backs your claims. I want hard proof that you have unraveled the trick to this magic case. I don't remember this part. Something in Moe's testimony that's a contradiction to what I just explained? I actually don't
know what it's referring to. Hard proof that you have unraveled the trick to this magic case. The contradiction in Moe's testimony of the flying killer? It just showed going through. It can't be the hat again. Because we know that the ringmaster was dressed up in the outfit of the victim. It's not the picture. I'm so confused. Okay, Moe's testimony, he heard the thump, saw the killer, quote-unquote, fly away. But those events don't match? No, I thought that it matched. Like, he's fine. He was telling the truth the whole time. It's all solid. So what's the testimony yesterday that he gave that contradicts it? Am I thinking of a different thing? I might have to give a wrong answer just to get them to explain things again, because I'm not sure what it's going for here. Because my hard proof would be the murder weapon, right? I would want the bust. Oh, they're not going to help me by talking. Yeah, no kidding. Try again. Okay. If it would have been silent for 2 more seconds, I would have screamed. Also, this bird is pecking my face. They say they want evidence. I just explained how there can only be one possible murder method. Okay. But there is still something unusual about Moe's eyewitness account. Is it the flowers? But we already dealt with the flowers. The roses. You just have to get out of the student. There's no talking amongst yourselves to proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence to the court of extra claims. Hard proof that you unraveled the trick to this magic case. The contradiction with Moe's testimony was the symbols. That was the only issue. Oh, okay. I'm here like, what is the problem here? I should have just went with my gut. I'm doubting myself. This game, replaying this game has made me doubt myself, because I'm like, man, I don't know this as well as I thought I did. Problem is Max's 3 symbols. You know, the silk hat, the cloak, and the white roses. Those symbols were a problem numerous times during yesterday's proceedings. Again, we're retreading the same ground. That's what keeps confusing me, because it's like, we've already been over this. Yesterday, there were 2 contradictions in Moe's testimony. The silk hat was one, the white roses were the other. But the theory I just presented explains all of these contradictions. You fool, do you ever shut up? Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Moe said yesterday? He testified that the criminal he saw fleeing the scene was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation for that. The silk hat that Moe saw was actually the bust. Okay. Wow,
that poster that Maya pilfered is coming in great handy. Makes sense. If you look at it that way, then he did see Silhat. Well, sort of. Fine, you got one. But what about the other contradiction? The other contradiction? Remember what that ventriloquist said in court? He said that he witnessed white roses on Max's chest that night. But the clown's testimony doesn't match. The clown said there were no white roses. I'd like to see you try and explain that one away. Can you do it, Nick? Of course, I can explain all of it. What was that? Please recall the instant when the cloak snagged onto the bust. If the cloak snagged onto the bust, what happened to the white roses? Do you get it yet? If the cloak got snagged onto the front of the bust, it means that the white roses would end up in the back of the bust. Haha! Which explains why Mo didn't see it. The white roses were not visible because they were on the back side of the bust. Order! Order! This is quite the shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds a bit absurd to me. However, let's just keep going down this road for a while and see where it leads. Let's do this, Nick. Then maybe Von Karma will finally throw in the towel. She's smiling again. And he's super chill as always. Well, so much for that theory. Mr. Wright, do you mind? What is it? You took the time to research our circus, didn't you? Well, yes, I did. Is there something making you think that I didn't? If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track. Why is that? Motive. This witness feels an incredible debt of gratitude toward the Ringmaster. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. Thus, there is absolutely no way someone like this would kill the Ringmaster. Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Acro's story. Learn about his relationship with the Ringmaster and his life up until now. What do we do? There's no doubting that Acro deeply respected the Ringmaster. Acro's motive? Seems that this case isn't over yet. Very well. However, I feel this is a good place to take a break. I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after a recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess. Courtroom tightrope. Yeah, sorry about the, whatever that was at the beginning there. I guess the, motive is the last thing to determine. So, here we are. At the end. Final stretch. Let's do it. Talk to you guys next time.